Welcome to Cooking with Chef Tuan, and today we are going Italian. We're making beef bolognese with pappardelle pasta, one of my all-time favorite comfort foods. Although this dish takes a little bit of time to make, the prep work is not too intensive. Here I have one large onion, about 3 stalks of celery, and a handful of little baby carrots. Now, if you have a food processor, this makes your job a lot easier. I like to pulse it all up until you get this nice pulp. Now, if you don't have a food processor, don't even sweat it. You can just cut it all up as small as you can. The point of this is to cook the vegetables so long that they break up and they melt into the sauce. In here, I have about 1.5 pounds of ground chuck. I like using ground chuck because it has a nice amount of fat to it, and fat is flavor. In here, all we're doing is just putting the ground beef into the pot, spread it out evenly, and just let it sit there for about a few minutes until you get nice brown color. Stir occasionally, but you don't want to stir too much because you really want that caramelization to occur. Now, when cooking ground beef, you're gonna go through a lot of phases. The first phase would be the hard sizzle when you put it in the pan. Then you're gonna start seeing a lot of water being released, but do not drain it, just let it cook off. The next thing you know, you're gonna see that your beef is gonna be caramelized, just like this. You want that dark, rich, deep color. That means there's a lot of flavor. And once the beef is really deep caramelized, then we can add our veggies. And all you gotta do, same thing as the beef, just spread it out and let it sit there for a few minutes. You're gonna see the water start to evaporate from that as well. Now season with some salt and pepper and stir it all up and make sure it's all well combined. And then again, keep stirring it and letting it cook until all the water is gone. And how can you tell? You will start hearing things sizzle instead of bubble. Now, my favorite tomato to use are canned San Marzano tomatoes. I mean, I wish I can get them fresh, but I don't live on Mount Vesuvius, so canned is the best way to go. Just look at how plump and red these are. And what I do is just put it all into a container, or you can put it in a blender and just blitz it all up and get a nice smooth sauce. As you can see, the bottom of our pot is starting to create all that fond or the little brown bits. That is complete, absolute decadent flavor. And here I'm adding a little bit of white wine just to deglaze and get all that flavor off the bottom of the pot. And as you're stirring, you want to make sure that you're scraping the bottom of the pot to get all the flavor up. And with this sauce, I love to fortify the tomato flavor with just a little bit of tomato paste. I've seen some recipes where they only use tomato paste and not tomato puree or fresh tomatoes. For me, I think you can do it any way you want as long as you're happy with it. And as you can see, you always want to cook the tomato paste off a little bit to get rid of that metallic flavor. And traditionally, bolognese has milk in it. So there's special enzymes in the milk that helps break down the protein, where when you eat it, the meat sauce becomes nice and velvety. So cook off the milk and make sure that you do not scorch the bottom. Now next, you want to add the tomato puree and just stir everything until it's all well combined. The sauce is starting to come together. Once it comes up to a boil, turn it down to as low as you can, put a lid on it for about an hour. That way you let all the flavors start to meld together. Now you can go back and start to re-season it. I add a little bit of salt and pepper, a couple bay leaves. Now I did add about 2 splashes of fish sauce for umami. Or I should say extra umami, because remember, we did caramelize those vegetables and that beef really hard. Look at how beautiful this sauce is. I swear this could be a shot for a postcard or a magazine cover. Look, beautiful. Now to serve, since I'm only making 1 serving, I like to take a little bit of sauce and put it in a separate saute pan and cook it to a little bit dry. And we'll come back to that later about why I'm doing it. And here I just have some really salted water. I made some pappardelle pasta earlier. I'll make a video about how to make pasta in the future. But all you gotta do is just cook this for a few seconds, about 30-40 seconds till it's nice and soft, and then we're ready to go. And here we have our bolognese sauce in that separate saute pan that I'm cooking. I like to add a little knob of butter to add a little bit of richness and creaminess to this sauce. And what I'm doing here, as you can see, the sauce is becoming drier. You see the little holes in the sauce? That is a good sign that you're ready to drop in the pasta. So you can see there's pasta water going into it. It's gonna loosen up the sauce enough so all the sauce adheres to the pasta. Look at how the sauce clings to this. That's exactly what you want. Because one of my biggest pet peeves is just people adding pasta water and they don't know why or they don't know when. and then they get a pool of water at the bottom of the bowl or the plate of pasta. That is just poor cooking. And then, next step is to grate as much cheese on it as you want. Me, I love Parm, so I'm gonna make it snow all over my pasta. Once this is done, a little bit of drizzle of olive oil to add to extra silkiness and richness of this dish, and let's go to the table. Look at our beautiful bowl of Bolognese with Pappardelle pasta, with Parmesan cheese and a light drizzle of olive oil. Gorgeous. Now it's time to eat. This dish, it takes a long time, but as you can see, the prep is not extensive. The most prep you have to do is just chopping up those vegetables. And if you have a food processor, even easier. Total cook time, about 2.5, 3 hours. The longer, the better. This sauce eats better the very next day, because that way all the flavors come together. The thing I love about this dish is when you eat it, it loves you back. This is exactly what a warm hug feels and tastes like. Guys, thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And as always, peace.